All right, welcome everybody. Thank you, Riley. Welcome to the 181st convening of the Broadband Hui, and mahalo everybody for joining us. This has been a journey of the last almost 3 years, 3 years now. Started in March of 2020, and we've been convening these gatherings to kind of bring people together, stakeholders interested in broadband and digital equity, and looking at what resources are becoming available, coming to bear on issues around broadband access and closing the digital divide. So we are here to recommit to that effort, and have been doing this on a weekly basis. We start off with some quick introductions, and then we'll kind of head into the agenda. And I know there's actually quite a bit on the agenda today. I'll kick it off. My name is Bert Lum. I'm the State Digital Equity Coordinator here in the Hawaii Broadband and Digital Equity Office in DBED, State of Hawaii. And I have my co-convener here representing the dynamic duo of Riley and Shola. We got the Riley today because Shola's on vacation. But Riley, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Riley Saito, County of Hawaii Research and Development Department. I'm the energy specialist, but passionate about digital access and internet for all.
Great, thanks, Riley. And I guess Shola's on vacation, so I think it's a well-deserved vacation. I think she'll be back next week, so we'll have her back on. And what we do is we kind of go through some, let's see, introductions, and I will go ahead and basically call on some new folks. I was just looking at the notes here, or the chat, and I'll drop the agenda in the chat shortly after I finish talking. But let's call on some folks. And
I just posted it to the chat.
Oh, okay, great, thanks.
Cece was pushing us this one.
Pushing, yeah.
Yeah.
What that Cece kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheila.
Oh man. Yeah, that's Sheila. That. Okay. Well, let's start with Kaeo Tam. Why don't you do a quick intro?
Oh my God. Oh, good morning, everyone. I turn on my. Actually, Bert, that I know you from long ago when I was at Revocom.
Yeah, I know you. I know. Yeah, I recognize.
So it's good to see you again.
Yeah. So you're at what? What is UHP?
So UHP or USERA is the faculty practice plan for the John A. Burns School of Medicine. And we've been working recently with Christina Higa and the PBTRC.
Okay.
And it's been great working with her. And, she kind of introduced me to this Broadband Hui. We actually are working on a project with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands in telehealth, MFM, especially Dr. Menjing Lee's project. So we'll be the infrastructure for that.
Okay, and I think Jaron is also on this call. So if you haven't already met him, it's a good contact. He's heading up all the broadband efforts at DHHL. So.
Oh, great.
You wanna make sure that you connect up with Jaron. Well, great. Yeah. Okay. I did recognize your name. I thought, oh man, this guy sounds familiar. Revocom.
Yeah. That was, well, we won't say how long ago that was, but it seems just like yesterday. So.
Yeah. Hey, so why don't you drop your email in the chat, and then I can invite you to the mailing list.
Okay, great. Yeah.
All right. Okay. let's see who else I can call upon here. Oh, Joy, do you want to say hi? I know you've been on before, but you know, good to see you again.
Oh, hold on.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Oh,
You're
so
telling
sorry.
us to hold on.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Joy Ibarra. I am the Community Relations Manager over at Hawaiian Telcom. Good seeing you, Bert. I'm glad to have finally met you in person this past Wednesday. Hawaiian Telcom had our 140th anniversary Digital Equity Recipient Award Luncheon this past week. So it was great to see Bert and Chung at the event. And I'm not sure if anybody, we always have a large group. I'm not sure if any of our awardees are on the call right now, but
yeah, you know, I was gonna say, Joy, yeah, you should invite them. And if you don't invite them, I'm gonna invite them, because I did get some contacts, and I would love to, if they don't already know of the Broadband Hui, you know, get them kind of involved.
Right. I think that some of them you are already familiar with: Paloma Settlement, Hawaii Kids
Purple Maya.
Can, Center for Tomorrow's Leaders, Purple Maya, Hawaii Hospice. I mean, sorry, they just recently changed their name. Hawaii Care Choices and Acton Digital Academy. I think those are the two that are not currently in the Hui, but I will definitely reach out to them to make sure that they're involved.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Yep.
I think there might be somebody, I think, that came out of that gathering, Joy, that I saw. Let's see if I can, or maybe I don't see them right now. But Riley, you wanna call on? How about? Oh, this is from one of our public comment. Katie Pacheco, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Aloha. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Katie Pacheco. I joined the community discussion last week, Monday. Got to meet and see many of you in person. So that was a really great session. And I'm with Vibrant Hawaii. For those of you that don't know our organization, we are a Hawaii Island focused organization, and equity is the name of the game for us. So broadband and digital access and digital education are big priorities for us in our community, especially in the more rural areas of the island. So super grateful to be here, and nice to see you all.
And Katie, I assume that you know Riley, right?
Sorry. Oh, yes.
You know. Okay.
Yeah, Riley and I hung out all day last Monday.
Okay. Because yeah, Riley's gonna do on the county update. They've got the annual report, which I'm trying to convince them to move from the year 2022 to 2023.
We'll change the year.
Yeah. But Katie, I'm sure that your feedback and comments also contributed to that annual report. So good to connect everybody up here.
Yeah. I think Riley worked with our executive director on some of that. So
great.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Thanks, Katie. How about you, Riley? You want to call on anybody?
Alex Glenn.
Oh, okay, Alex.
Hi there. I am a new intern with the HBDEO office. I've been here for a couple weeks, but this is only my third Broadband Hui meeting. So nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Alex. I know Alex, so I didn't put her on the spot, but you have every right to, Riley.
Okay, that way you don't get in trouble. Okay.
Yeah.
That's about it for me.
Okay. Why don't okay, so the next sort of typical kind of Manao of the day section, we give it over to Shola. And I, I don't want to lose the spot. So I don't want to not do something. So what I'm going to do is just kind of repeat something that we've said it before on this call. And it's one of our slides in the digital equity presentation. And, I wanted to bring it back to the surface. I don't need to share screen, but I did want to repeat it. It's he ba'a he moku he ba'a. And I know Micah Alameda mentioned it, and we've adopted it in our digital equity plan. It's a olelo noeao about how we look at us in Hawaii as being all being part of this canoe, and for the purpose of our digital equity plan, we're all in this canoe, kind of maneuvering the path forward into this sort of digital world. And I think it's an appropriate kind of description of what it is that we all need to do, in order to work together and move, the canoe forward. And there's a whole number of aspects, and we sort of look at the key pillars, and I'll reference an article that Civil Beat did, but the key pillars being, internet access, you have digital literacy, you have access to devices, you have things like affordability, you have, digital navigators, and these are all kind of the key pillars that, we highlight when talking to legislators and others. So I just wanted to reemphasize, the idea of us all being in this canoe, all moving forward in this direction, all contributing to our achieving the goals of digital equity. So it's he ba'a he moku he ba'a. So I did want to at least have a continuity of our Manao of the day. I don't do it quite as eloquently as Shola, but I thought I'd. Yes. Are you going to tell me that I was on mute or something?
No. It brought something when we worked on High Deck and inviting members and in our survey. Well, and then we had individual, one-on-one type of calls with the various people who are interested in. And with the there's some who actually want to be in there with paddles, actively moving. And there's others who are just wanted to help launch the canoe and have it, find the right space to be in place to move forward. And then there's others who really are very interested in what the canoe is about, but want to stay on shore and cheer us on and wave and make sure the canoe is doing okay. And so we kind of took High Deck and had that type of understanding of the different members and their level of participation.
I really appreciate that, Riley, because there's all the roles and responsibilities that get played out as we all participate, in this ba'a. And one of them that I want to bring up is the person that tries to provide nourishment, to the participants that are in the canoe. And that's an important facet, right? Because if you don't have nourishment, you're not going to be able to sustain the effort. So there are people that are also part of this ba'a that provide the nourishment that allow us to keep the energy levels, keep the positivity, and keep the nourishment, moving forward. So it's a great analogy, and I really see our movement forward, very much aligned to it. And then another thing that, just real quickly, we referred to Pilahi Paki's acronym for Aloha, and I bring attention to Ahonoi, which is to proceed with with perseverance, and being the fact that we're at 181, it is a demonstration of perseverance, and so a lot of things that we kind of draw upon in terms of what motivates us in this kind of manao of the day. How do we actually take some of the wisdom and actually put it to use? And so that's what we're doing. But mahalo, everybody. Thanks, Riley, for allowing me to indulge myself. Okay. So with that, we will move on to the UH team, and the UH team has a lot of activity going on, and I think their series of updates are very important for everybody to kind of pay close attention to. So Sarah, go ahead, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Sarah Lynn from the UH Broadband team. I'll just share our screen and let you know where we're at. Okay. All right, are you folks able to see that in good size? All right, so the current month is November 1. Happy All Saints Day to you all. Wanted to let you folks know that we are in the process of finalizing our volume 1 and volume 2 and plan to post them together. There's just a few tiny things that we're tweaking after getting some initial feedback from NTIA. So please bear with us, but we are still planning to release it for a formal public comment period in the coming days. As Bert mentioned, we've been chatting with you folks over the last couple of weeks and months. And here we are now in the actual review of the initial proposal. As a reminder, what we were doing before was just giving you sort of a preview of what are the different components. And now that the initial proposal is just about ready to be released, we wanted to use every Broadband Hui for the next 4 sessions to go through a chunk of each of the initial proposal, volume 1 and volume 2. I want to again repeat that we really prefer not to take a ton of questions and public comment during this Broadband Hui session because it would just hijack Bert's meeting. So instead, what we have created is a series of Zooms where we will be available, the team will be available every Monday for this entire month. If you want to pop in, pop out, whatnot, every Monday, 9 a.m., I believe, via Zoom, we will be available to answer questions, to take your public comment, or to take any just sort of interested in discussion, and we can record it as public comment as well. Again, here's where we are. This past summer, we were speaking with you folks and working on the BEAD 5-year action plan, which was sort of the outline of how we would approach the initial proposal, which is the first draft of how we will approach the final proposal, which will say how everything will be built out and that we ensure that high-speed internet access is available to every resident. But here's where we are. This time I was very excited. I got to move this little red guy a little bit because we're pretty much to Halloween, right? And just as a reminder, this is where we, plan to be giving specific Broadband Hui info sessions on different chunks. And as Bert had mentioned, we have been island hopping a lot the last 2 to 3 weeks, and we will still be island hopping for the next 2 weeks. Our goal is to hit each island or at least each county at least once over the next, at least before the end of the year. And then we will be going back in the spring after the new year to talk about what's next, for example, educating on the challenge process, yada, yada. But in the meantime, this is where we have been so far. They've been really helpful. We've been able to, sort of garner feedback on how this interesting ways in which to reach down into the population to find that and uncover that uncle that we don't know that exists, that isn't connected, and get him connected on a FCC map that's really hard to use. So anyway, appreciate folks spreading the word and attending if they're able to. And if not, it's okay. We also have some Zoom learning sessions, including one tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Where I'll basically, give the same overview that we give at all of these events. And it's been really helpful to have Bert and team coming along as well, because it really helps to illustrate the story as, BEAD being the infrastructure and the ensuring access to high-speed internet for everyone, and DE being the wraparound services, showing you what to do and how to use the connection to your greatest ability once it's made available to you. And that was all that I had. And then we were going to move to Micah giving a overview and walking through volume 1 in particular. But I'm happy to take quick questions. Again, don't want to take full public comment in this one, because this is a Broadband Hui meeting, not our public comment meeting. But Riley and then Brad.
So isn't there a meeting on the 9th in Hilo?
Yes, that was literally just added this earlier this week.
Right.
So my slide is out of, yeah.
And
right.
do you have a location for that one?
We do. I will post it in the chat as soon as we're done.
So, and 9:30.
Yes. No, the one in Hilo is in the evening.
Okay.
So, the reason why we're hitting multiple places and sometimes having a morning one and an evening one is that some of them are sort of specifically, we were trying to target and make sure that we're reaching out adequately to Native Hawaiian population, and knowing that some of them just cannot, are not able to attend a 9:30 meeting, but it might be able to attend a slightly after Pauhana meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And I'll just add that either Chung or I will be at these meetings. There's one, I think, on the 8th in Kona, right? And then there's the 9th happening in Hilo. So
Yeah.
Chung and I are kind of tag teaming, because the following week there's some activity happening on Kauai, as well as the CNHA conference that's also taking place. So we're just trying to balance, amongst all the. It's definitely picking up steam, getting out into the public.
I want to say that, initially the reason why we put out this particular map that just shows the full, like the ones that are open to the entire public here. There are some that we have gone to that are just focused on DHHL homestead folks. And so, but because, at Hilo and in Kona, we're going to be meeting basically in the same place, a 9:30 and then a 5 p.m. one, this November 8th one, we just decided to kind of open it up. So it's not just specifically targeted, but because of the way that like on the mainland, they're called, it's a so-called tribal consultation. We did have to make sort of extra and more special outreach into the Hawaiian community, but we're finding that they're showing up at the regular meetings anyway, that are for everyone. Okay, Brad.
Yeah, thanks. 9-part question for you. No, no, just for us to share this out with everybody. These sessions, just for my clarification, I know you guys are doing a presentation. Is there a process for people to ask questions and get some feedback involved, or is that a later thing for you guys?
For these info sessions, we're going over just like what the overall BEAD program is about and how people can best like learn more about it and have input. We don't go into like initial proposal deep dive, and we don't go into challenge process deep dive. We basically, tell folks, number one, please see if you can see yourself on the map. And but number two, are there special needs in your community or particular types of digital equity or broadband services that you would need? Like, do you guys need kupuna training more than other thumbs, or do you need workforce training more than other stuff? And then number three, we ask people to help us vet the CAI list. So
okay, yeah. So,
that is the way that people can give feedback. And then
perfect.
We also definitely take questions. Sometimes some people, interject right away and say, oh, but what about this? And, so yeah, it's an open discussion back and forth, and It's meant to be one of several, because we know folks will have a hard time maybe digesting it for the first time, but maybe will be interested in coming back later.
Okay, yeah, as we share with, invite people to do it, we just want to make
Okay.
sure we tell them what it's about, so.
Let me, I will upload the updated slides to the website and then post that in the
Okay.
chat.
Perfect.
Thank you. Hi, Karen.
Hello. I have a clarification question. Did I hear you correctly? You said that you have sessions on Mondays that are on Zoom?
Yes, so this particular poster is about just the overall information sessions, where we're just open to the public and telling them about BEAD and DE generally. As for the actual initial proposal, so the initial proposal, we're here, right, in November, and for each of these, we wanted to present to you what's in volume 1 and go over a map tool we have. We wanted to present what's in volume 2, number 1 through 6.
So
The following Mondays is a formal, or not formal, but it's a session where we're open to taking public comment and questions specifically about the initial proposal. So it's the Monday sessions that are coming up. I don't know why they're not on this slide, sorry.
Yeah, that confused me. I just didn't see the
sorry about
date.
that.
Okay.
The Monday ones are more for the folks that are interested in discussing the initial proposal proper. The info sessions here are more for just general knowledge about the BEAD program.
Okay, got it. Okay, so the Monday sessions are really more of a follow-up to the Broadband Hui
Yeah,
section
yes,
for this group.
or for, it's open to anybody, but yes, for it's for folks who want to dive into the initial proposal and have questions.
Okay, just a suggestion. I know that I was not able to get I knew about the West Oahu one very, very late in the game and couldn't get the word out. But if you have an opportunity, you mentioned doing something in the evening. If you have an opportunity to do a Zoom in the evening, I think that might benefit statewide. In my opinion, I think a lot of people are at work just for a general info session. And I think, if we know about it, maybe even just a little bit in advance, I could help get the word out. I know others people work and then they might be interested after work to go on to a Zoom session, an info session, and learn more about it. In person is always the best, but that might be an opportunity in November sometime if you're able to have the capacity to do it. Just a suggestion.
Nope, appreciate it. I mean, our thought with the morning daytime-ish sessions was that we were hoping to sort of reach the I don't know what other word to use, like the service providers, the folks who are sort of frontline and then are in touch, like, the folks like you and Chrissy who, represent a one level removed from consumer or client sort of thing. But yes, can definitely also do a Zoom session. Okay, writing it down. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, if no other questions, I'm going to kick it over to Micah. And he's going to go over specifically volume 1 and share a really cool map tool with you folks.
Sarah, quick question. Where is the Zoom link for the Monday Zoom calls?
I'll get it to you later.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'm trying to find my second desktop. It's this one. You see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike. I'm the broadband data specialist on the UH team. And today I'll be going over the initial proposal volume 1 with everyone. Like Sarah mentioned, we're pretty much in the final stages with posting the initial proposal. We just have to wait for NTIA to give us some feedback on volume 2 so that, and because we don't want to post something that's kind of like non-compliant. And so we're waiting on that feedback. Tentatively, end of the week is when we heard they'll give us back the feedback, NTIA, and then we'll
there's nothing major. We'll probably post it early next week, both volumes. But today, for the Broadband Hui, we're going over volume 1. So as a high level, this volume, there's pretty much 4 key parts to it. The first one is going to be outlining all the existing funding that the state has with respect to broadband. Second is the unserved and underserved locations in the state. Third is community anchor institutions. And then fourth is detail into the challenge process. And then you see we have appendixes for certain sections. So the order that I'm going to go into this is 1, 3, 4, and 2. And I'm going to save the last one, or the unserved and underserved section, for the last, because it's going to correspond to a map that we have that I wanted to show you all. So first section, existing broadband funding, we're pretty much just laying out every single source of funding that we're getting from the state. Here it's in the table, so you'll see what is the program or the source, what is the purpose of this funding, how much we got, how much we expended of that amount, and then how much is available today. Pretty cut and dry. This I'll come back to. Okay, the other section is around community anchor institutions. So if you recall, we gave a talk about what community anchor institutions are, and there are pretty much 2 big categories, ones that are clearly defined in the NOFO, and those things are like schools, libraries, health clinics, public safety entities, higher education institutions, public housing, and the such. And then the other category are what are called community support organizations, which is more of a gray area, where those organizations that facilitate broadband usage by vulnerable populations, including but not limited to Native Hawaiians, low-income, unemployed, children, incarcerated, and aged peoples. So this section is pretty much us here defining what the criteria for that more gray area of community support organization. So there are 3 criteria. This first criteria is we're saying that there has to be a physical location and a permanent structure to facilitate broadband usage. So for example, if the organization performs work out of like a pop-up tent or some other temporary structure, it would not meet our CAA criteria, because if you think about it, we can't run a line of fiber to the tent or some pop-up structure. So that's the first criteria. The second criteria is that the community support organization, they have that permanent space that's dedicated to the organization's usage for the activities, so like services or programs that they host that facilitate broadband usage. And that the organization, part of their mission is to help provide these services. So for example, we said Hawaii American Red Cross, they're a very important community support organization for our state and our community, but their mission does not involve activities that are targeted towards facilitating broadband usage. So we wouldn't include them as a CAI in this list. And then the third criteria is whether or not the organization is public facing in nature, meaning that the organization doesn't require some sort of paid or unpaid membership before using its services. And so, for example, there's a community center in Oahu called Mo'ili'ili Community Center. And, it has a physical structure. Part of its mission facilitates broadband usage by vulnerable populations, but according to their website, it requires paid membership to utilize the space. So that affordability would create a barrier and therefore would not be eligible for the CAI criteria. And then this is a flow chart that we created that basically just walks through these 3 criteria to help you decide whether or not there are other organizations that you can think of and whether or not they could fit into the CA criteria. And so that's that section. This section is just listing all the sources of where we got the CAI criteria. So for schools, you can read that we got them from the Hawaii Department of Education's website. Private schools, we got it from the Hawaii Association of Independent Schools website, and Head Start things we got from the US Department of Health and Human Services. Libraries, state library system, health clinics, there's a bunch, public safety, fire stations and police stations. So we reached out to the county police and fire departments websites, institution of higher education, public housing organizations is Hawaii Public Housing Authority, and then community support organizations were we added some subcategories based on the criteria, and those criteria are jails and prisons, job training centers, houseless support centers, and community centers. And again, where we got that information pretty much varies, but we tried to get it more from the official sources. So that's identifying all the CAIs. Now, in terms of like how we assessed the community anchor institution needs to see which ones would be eligible for BEAD funding. And if you recall, the criteria is that they meet our definition that we stated above, and that they lack access to 1 gigabit per second symmetrical download and upload. And so for the more county or state-owned facilities, this describes how we did that. We reached out to each of the respective agencies. So for schools, like public schools, again, we reached out to Hawaii Department of Education, and we reached out to their Office of Information Technology Services and basically asked which schools lack this 1 gigabit symmetrical. And they told us that all schools in the state have, with the exception of the school in Hana. So the Hana school was added to the list to be eligible for BEAD funding. For those other like community support organizations and other CAIs that are not county or state owned, how we went about determining if they have access to that 1 gigabit symmetrical is we reached out to the ISPs and we gave them our list of addresses and asked them to identify, and they graciously did, gave us some information on whether or not they had access to that 1 gigabit service. And we also used the FCC's map to just basically punch in addresses and looking at the data that way. We will be posting later the list of eligible community anchor institutions. So you'll see the ones that UH found that lack that 1 gigabit per second and therefore would qualify for BEAD funding. Okay, challenge process. This is a very lengthy one. I do want to say that a more in-depth, very more in-depth explanation of the challenge process will be held later, especially in beginning of next year as we ramp up training for the challenge process. But basically what we're saying is UH has adopted NTIA's model challenge process. Prior to launching or holding the challenge process, UH will be conducting a pre-challenge modification that will treat any locations that are shown as served by DSL, so that's copper, as underserved for the purposes of phasing out that legacy copper technology. And those cannot be challenged or rebutted by providers. The next section is just saying that, yes, UH will be using the NTIA provided eligible entity planning toolkit. And part of that is us identifying enforceable commitments. This is basically other programs that we kind of listed above that also are deploying, like actually building broadband out. And so this section says that like we will be doing our best to identify all those enforceable commitments. And UH has identified 9 that are related to broadband deployment. And therefore, any locations that these programs touch that are on the FCC map, we cannot fund them with BEAD because they'll already be funded by these programs. And that section. Okay, this section explains more at a high level how the challenge process is actually going to happen. So again, we're using NTIA's model challenge process. So what that means is we will only allow challenges related to community anchor institutions, changing the status from like served to underserved or underserved to served, unserved, things like that. If there's an enforceable commitment and we didn't capture that somehow, or the ISPs have already planned some sort of service. And so who can actually participate in the challenge process is only nonprofits, units of local government, so that's like county or state, and broadband service providers, again, like the internet service providers. And so we just over here explicitly called out what are nonprofit organizations. It does include, if you're a 501c3 organization or a Native Hawaiian Homestead Beneficiary Association, the counties, and this is a link to the form, the Google form, that if you're one of these 3 categories and you're interested in participating, you would sign up. And then once we have more details on the actual mechanism of the challenge portal, we'll share that and invite you to participate and get training and all that stuff. This section is just overviewing how the challenge process is going to work. So there's 4 phases spanning 90 days. The challenge process will pretty much like kick off, right? When UH will publish the list of locations to our website. And so that will happen tentatively April 1st of next year. The second phase is the challenge phase. So this is when nonprofits, ISPs, local government entities can then basically go into the portal that UH will host and then begin to submit challenges. This describes just the level of evidence that you need to submit, which will be described later on in this document. And you'll have, and challenges you'll have 30-day window to submit. So April 1st is the start. You have until April 30th to submit as all the challenges as you want. And then once the challenge is submitted, there's a 30-day window from when that challenge is submitted till for the provider to respond. So for example, if you're challenging a location and say Spectrum or Hawaiian Telecom services that location, and you're specifically challenging like Hawaiian Telecom's service, Hawaiian Telecom will be notified by UH through this portal, and they will have the opportunity to rebut that with 30 days. So that location will be in a disputed state until basically the ISPs rebut. They can choose to rebut, as in they can provide evidence that this challenge is actually not correct, or they can agree with the challenge, and then basically that location is considered, I guess, sustained. The challenge is sustained. And so if you think about it, it's a rolling 30-day window. If you submit on April 1st a challenge, ISPs have until the end of the month to rebut that challenge. And then finally, if the ISP does rebut, right, then there's a final determination phase that is also a rolling 30 days, that then the UH basically acts as adjudicators to review the challenge, review the rebuttal, and then determine, okay, this challenge should actually be sustained, or this challenge actually should be rejected.
Hey, Micah, in the interest of time, like, let's keep speeding through it. And I don't think you need to go into all the detail about the exact challenge process, because we are going to give folks a training. The folks who will be filing challenges, we will give you folks an in-depth training on how to use, how to do everything, how to make sure that the time is right and stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to move it along a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much the bulk of that section. This section just shows like what you would need to provide as evidence if you're going to submit a challenge. So there's different types you can read based on the type, what you would need to provide, and then what the provider could rebut using.
Are you still taking me at 1:30?
There's two different challenge also types that we clarified. There's an area and multiple dwelling unit. This allows you to basically bulk challenge an area. And then speed test. This just gives you information on like how speed test challenges will work. Give you certain scenarios on like how it is applicable, the requirements, and then talking about how this section, the transparency plan, talks about how UH is going to basically keep the whole challenge process transparent. So we're going to post information about what's being challenged, and we'll also be holding training sessions for people and basically getting as many people that are eligible involved as possible. And we're not going to post any protected information. And then the section is the public comment outreach that Sarah mentioned. Okay, so back to the unserved and underserved section. So when we post the volume 1 and volume 2, we'll also be posting a CSV containing the unserved and underserved location IDs that NTIA gave us. And so if you look at those CSVs, it'll just be like one column of numbers that are basically IDs, and they mean nothing. So to help with basically like looking at that, UH created this map, which you can find under our efforts state broadband map, which takes those location IDs and puts it on a map. And so we updated this since last time. You'll see we added things such as unserved, underserved, things that were marked as not broadband and serviceable. And then you can see the different areas for different fundings. the last thing I'll just talk about is specifically this layer, which shows not served by zip hotspots. So you'll see that on this map, the colors correspond to the percentage based on the island. So each one of these is by island, and then the color is like the darker the color, the more there are in that area. So for example, if we go to Big Island, you'll see that the unserved and underserved locations, the bulk of it is in this area of the island and say this area, and that's about like 16 to 23% of the total. And again, super quick, we're going to be also publishing this PDF that you can see, which is basically this data, but in a table format. And you can see by zip code, like by island, where the greatest amount of unserved and underserved locations are. And that's it.
So can I just add that, thank you, Micah, for putting this together, because this last thing here, it's really great because it shows you where the most identified unconnected and unserved places are. And it will be able to tell you like these communities will actually, you know, receive investment this time. So versus just, you know, on a map without location information. This will actually show you like the community of Ocean View will be covered here. And, you know, Pahoa will get X. So appreciate Micah for putting that together. Anyway, that was from our team. Sorry, Bert, we took so long.
No. I wanna commend your guys' team and Micah, the work that you guys did and the presentation you just did, because it's super informative. And you know, for folks that are on the Broadband Hui, I mean, you know, take pleasure in the fact that, you know, we're getting kind of a first pass at a lot of the stuff that is happening. And thanks to, you know, Sarah, Micah, Susan, and the team, you know, they're sharing this with us. And I'm going to share some links if you guys want to read more about Volume 1, Volume 2. But it's really, you know, this is not stuff that you just, you know, hear once and then you can you're an expert. This is stuff that you got to definitely delve into. And if you're trying to get, you know, community members to really start to pay attention, it's going to be you folks on the front line trying to help people understand what the heck this is all about. So, you know, one of the things I've learned on these public comments and interactions, you know, that we're doing across the state is that, you know, we become the front line. We're the sort of evangelists for this, but, you know, how do we convey the importance of this so that people can then you know, be sort of a force multiplier as they go out into their communities. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. Thanks, Sarah and Micah, for, you know, the really good presentation. Dan?
Yes, no, very impressive report from UH, but of course it stimulates questions. With respect to HANA, I think we should try to understand is there something holding up the Hawaiian Telecom cable around the south, or fiber around the south side? So hopefully that would get there sooner rather than later. And if it requires, again, lobbying, we should do it. So that's the thing. Now on the challenges, did I understand correctly that none of this challenges will be at this when the challenge process issue will be for missing locations that simply aren't on the map? Is that true?
That is correct, Dan. So pretty much you can't, for the challenge process, you wouldn't be able to point on a dot and say this location is missing. You have to work with the set of dots that we are going to provide and then change the color there.
Right, but for now, though,
You can still file to
so
get your
still
dot.
file. Yes,
Yes,
and
correct.
and
Well,
we should encourage anybody to get those missing locations you know, on the map. And I mean, that was one of the things that came out of Kaneohe. Sure, it was there's a missing location. So that's I really would yeah, we need to do that. And if we can help, let us know. On the list, the CSV list by community, I think that's good. But I think it would also be helpful to have put in the census blocks in that list, you know, and a list of specific community name and the census blocks, because the community, if I'll call it community challenge, right? Is, you know, applies to the whole block. So if what is it, 6 or 10 or whatever it is, then you can say, you can have that whole block declared to be unserved or underserved. So that would be a comment on the CSV list. And yes, I have used your map, you know, the latest version, and it's quite interesting. Thank you.
Hey, Dan, to your point about, you know, getting the dot on the list, or getting a dot on the map, I would take it upon yourself to go ahead and just talk to people about getting their dot on the map. That's what I'm doing. And I think, you know, outside of, you know, just one-on-one, if you know of somebody that might be in a location that is not represented by a dot, you know, help them get a dot on that map, because you know, the UH guys aren't going to give you a set of instructions on how to do that. I think we already know how to do that. So you just gotta take it upon ourselves. In fact, that's a message for everybody on the call. If you know of anybody that might not be represented by a dot, please get them represented on the map.
Actually, Micah has already created a long time ago a step-by-step walkthrough how you check your status on the map and how you fix yourself on the map. And he just posted it to the chat.
Oh,
So
okay.
we do have instructions, but it still kind of requires somebody who has some savvy to walk through with it. So, yeah.
Well, I was thinking a letter to all of the state representatives, something to for Oahu neighborhood boards, even if somebody sponsored a bounty, declare a bounty on the missing dots. You create a dot, you generate this for a dot, you get some kind of reward, or maybe it's a contest. I don't know. But yeah, we need to get the dots on the map.
That goes back to Riley's got dot campaign. Yeah.
If you do submit a missing location dot, we would really appreciate if you would forward the confirmation email that you should get from the FCC to broadband@hawaii.edu, so that we can like have it recorded on our end.
Yeah, I think it is an emergency that to get the dots before April 1st.
Okay. Thanks, Micah. Thanks, Sarah. Any other questions? We'll Sarah, when you give me the Zoom link, I'll share it out for the Monday.
Yep, working on it right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're at the 10 o'clock hour. I do want to give Riley a chance to provide a county update, but I'll quickly go through a couple of links that I've provided in the agenda, so that, you know, people can delve more deeply into some of the things that are available. NTIA posted, this is back a while, you know, back in May, but I did provide a link to the detail of initial proposal volume 1 and 2, if you want to read through that. And it's really good, you know, additional understanding of all the detail that Micah is providing, you know, for their submittal. I also provide a link to the NTIA dashboard, And so all the states are kind of going through their sort of timeline of when they've submitted their volume 1, volume 2, NTIA is in an approval mode, and some states are lagging a little bit behind. I think Hawaii is sort of in the middle of the pack, and it's encouraging that we're moving forward on the initial proposal, volume 1, volume 2. So that's the dashboard. Another thing that happened that I think is timely, there is legislative interest in the work that we're doing, and there was an information briefing put on by the House Committee on Health and Homelessness, and so I provided a link to the video of that, and it even got interest on the part of Civil Beat with an article that they wrote. I think it was yesterday, called "Telehealth Has Improved Medical Service, but More Needs to Be Done." So anyway, that's a Civil Beat article, and if you folks are interested in reading about that, that's I think Christina Higa, are you on still? Yes, Christina, you wanna just say a few words about that information brief?
Yeah, thank you. Representative Bellotti, who's chair of the committee, invited several of the telehealth stakeholders to provide some information. Really, this was the first informational session for that committee. So she's going to have a series, and it was really just giving an update on the telehealth landscape. I presented on the policies at the federal and the state level. Dr. Matthew Koenig from Queens, he's the telemedicine director for Queens, provided kind of really a vision of where telehealth has moved from the pandemic and the future directions, and really looking at how telehealth is not only a convenience, but it's changing the way healthcare is being delivered that can improve quality of care and access, and empowering patients. And then Stacey Aldrich and Sylvia Mann highlighted the telehealth in the libraries project, and then Bert was able to provide an overview of all of the initiatives with the digital equity plan. And it was really sharing information about all of the activities, and Chair Bellotti said at the end, it's all tied together. So she's going to really kind of break this out and to have a series of discussions. Thanks, Bert.
Yeah, no, thanks, Christina. And it's just good that we're not only telling the story of broadband and digital equity, but it's being woven into some of the work that Christina, you guys are doing in telehealth, and telehealth is a kind of a foundational application that I think a lot of the literature has been recognizing as a key service that is obviously enabled with broadband as a foundation. So it's woven into that. So anyway, thanks Christina for
sorry, Bert. Could I just add one more thing?
Sure, yeah.
When we were debriefing with Representative Bellotti about the libraries project and these different initiatives, it did come about that the reason that synergy happened was because of the Broadband Hui. And then it kind of then clicked for her then that we should have Bert on, and we should be talking about how all of these activities are being coordinated and what we can do next. And so I think that so many of us, I I even kind of took that for granted in giving you this update right now, but I think so many of us have benefit from coming to these meetings every week, hearing all the different opportunities, making connections, and remembering that, and kind of letting people know how this all came about should be our continued part of our story, so that we can get support we need.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up. And whether it's telehealth in the libraries, digital literacy in the libraries, these projects are all taking place kind of at the same time, along with our DE plan and UH's BEAD program. Just a quick update on the DLIR project, which is we've talked about it for quite a while. The Ed Case earmark 975, that is also unfolding. And so that should be, in fact, I'll leave it to Stacy to give us an update on that. But, that is taking place as we speak. So a lot of these things are not only happening at the same time, but they're kind of very foundational, because these are the projects that we will not only be measured against, but these are the things that are going to be the benchmarks for us to improve upon, as we move down the timeline, talking about capacity grants and competitive grants and, the non-deployment funds. So anyway, stuff to really pay close attention to. And sometimes we're so much into the details, of what's going on. Sometimes the bigger picture gets sort of lost, but we're all on this path, and that's why the whole saying about the ba'a is so important. The ba'a doesn't just sit in the ocean. I mean, we're going someplace, and you guys are all a part of it. So thanks, Christina. All righty, okay. So I've talked about our digital equity plan. It's our public comment period basically officially ended yesterday. So we will be looking at all the submittals that have come in through our survey, or whether it came in through one of our meetings, and emails. We will still accept, Christina, we'll still accept public comment, but the sooner you get it to us, the better that we can incorporate it. And then, but the official, sort of the official 30-day ended on the 31st. So just wanted to share that. And then real quickly, I did want to give everybody a chance to get a highlight on some of the activity, thanks to Alexis Ching and David, who've been, and Kaala, who have been doing it's really great independent work on moving the needle on digital literacy, ACP, as well as access to devices. So I asked David to give us an update on some activity that took place, just last week, right?
Yeah, so I was working with Alexis. She has her nonprofit, Evolve Industries, and Kaala, who does the digital literacy classes. But we were working with the West and East Hawaii grants from Hawaii Community Foundation. And within the last 2 weeks, or the last 8 days, we had 4 computer classes, 4001 digital literacy classes that served 69 people, and we gave out laptops. I think the same number of people. So we gave away and taught 69 laptops and people. We also had 2 ACP Train the Trainer classes and a recorded session for Vibrant Hawaii. Within the 2 ACP Train the Trainer classes, we were working with the library system out in Kohala, and then in Waimea, we were working with the Civic Center there. So we had 2 classes in Kona, or we had 1 class in Kona, 1 class in Hilo, and then 1 class in Waimea, and another one in Kohala. But yeah, it was a really nice effort. The classes went really well. We had a huge help from Councilwoman Cindy Evans, as well as CC Crabtree. They both helped out with laptops. CC hooked up Kaala and I with a stay at the Kamuela Inn, which was beautiful, by the way. Kaala said it looked just like a Hallmark movie, and with all the decorations, it was real nice. But yeah, it worked really well, and yeah, just wanted to provide an update there.
Yeah, thanks, David. And I wanted to bring this to everybody's attention, that what David, Alexis, Kaala, CC helped do was pretty independent of any federal funding source per se, right? I mean, Alexis went and raised some money to bring everybody together. So again, a lot of this independent work is really applauded. And I told Alexis, not only did you help to deliver literacy classes and devices, but there were lessons learned that you could now look at applying as we move down this timeline. So it's all about building capacity and everybody that's been involved is continuing to build that capacity. So really appreciate the work you're doing, David, and you know, we'll be looking for more to come. Okay, that's the
I
update
have a
for.
question, David. The video you mentioned, what was that regarding? What was the subject matter?
Yeah, so the video that we did a recorded training session for Vibrant Hawaii on an ACP Train the Trainer. It was the walking through some of the outreach slides that I've created in the last year or so. And then I also did a run through on education superhighways ACP certification course. So 2-in-1, and it was shared with Vibrant Hawaii. I think they're still reviewing the recording, but they're gonna put it out in their newsletter to share out.
So that has like ongoing impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And David, is that video available to any of us?
Yeah, so Alexis has access to the video right now, but we can share it out with the Hui once it's ready.
Okay, yeah, please keep me posted. I would like to see if that could be part of our navigator sort of training for ACP and other activities. It's good to have, you know, these resources available as more people come on board, and that's exactly what, you know, I'm thinking of in terms of the capacity building that you all are definitely a part of. So yeah, let me know, David, when that becomes available. Thanks. And now I want to kind of move into the county update, and you know, we have a new format, so we're gonna sort of rotate through the counties, you know, for the month, so everybody has a designated week that they can share their update. And the first week of the month goes to Hawaii County, and then of course I should mention that the next one is going to be Kauai. So, you know, Nate, if you're on, you know, get ready for an update next week. But for now, I think, Riley, you guys just published your 2023, right? Annual.
Right.
Okay. Why don't you share what you guys did?
Okay, let me basic screen to share. Okay. So don't pay attention to the 2022, okay? You don't see that on the screen. But, you know, the Manao Okala actually could begin here. The Hipukoa Kaniaina, which is the coral reef a coral reef that grows into an island. It's sort of like our journey right now. And so this is something that Shola, Trisha, some of the and Rose, you know, they worked on. My role was to stand on the shore and watch the canoe. and really, seriously, because these folks are fantastic people. I'm supposed to be working on energy. And so this is just a summary of the, you know, high deck, how and why it is, the context in which high deck was established, and you know where we're going with that team, with that coalition. And we got a supporting letter, you know, message from the mayor. And truly this administration has been highly supportive, actively supportive of solving digital equity. And so this kind of summarizes, you know, our meetings, our engagements. We started off with, I think the first list from the Broadband Hui was like 16 folks signed up. Then within a month, it went up to 26. And now we have, you know, 91 active on the listserv and progressing. So here's kind of a profile of high deck. And we include all the counties and the state. but mainly, the core is our community. That's the active paddlers in the canoe. And takeaways and discussions, we summarize it here. Work within communities, diversified outreach, affordability and funding, social equity, education. And this is the core, I guess you could also, other organizations might call it core values or, something like that, something more corporate like, but this is what we've learned. This is what we listened and heard. I believe is more important. And then, so here's a summary of our next step in the goals, who the target is, and deliverables. Now with the public Wi-Fi, it's interesting. Corey just stepped into my office. He's working on computers, but that's where, this having public access to free Wi-Fi, affordable Wi-Fi. Corey's the key IT guy, and we've got 23 community anchor sites that have free public access to internet. We're targeting to complete another 10, 15 of those by end of the year. And we've currently spent about $1.4 million on that rollout. So while we wait for BEAD and we wait for DE, we can move forward with having our community go through literacy classes and things like that now with our high deck team. So that's that's it.
That's great, Riley. What is the audience for this sort of annual report? Who do you want to get this to? And what do you want them to do with it?
It's more of a benchmark for us. Whether someone does anything with it, that's up to them. But it is, it sets, just going through this process of writing it helps you, I guess, realize how much you've learned and how much you realize that you don't know, and if you share it with others, it may help them advance quicker, faster, and sprout new ideas, new directions. So it's just part of sharing, listening, learning, and sharing.
Do you see that annual report being somewhat of a precursor to the county's digital equity plan?
Yeah, it's all integrated. We started actually last year with the high deck being one of the initial steps, was a broadband action plan, right? With the NDIA, and we haven't heard about the Trailblazer status, but we did apply for that, and so the initial broadband action plan was designed to get us focused on taking action, to actually implement things. And then, so if you go implement something, what do you need to implement? And that's how the self-questioning comes in. The community outreach, get input, listen and learn, and then so we could change the name to digital equity plan, but the goal of the action plan was always to solve digital equity, deliver digital equity, live in a digital equity world. That was the goal. So the digital action plan and this annual report is sort of like a snapshot, saying, looking at what you did, where you need to go.
No, that's good. And yeah, don't just change the name to digital equity plan. You can I think, and then once the NOFO comes out for the capacity grants, it'll be a good way to gauge, what does the county's digital equity plan need to have with respect to what's already been published, in the state's digital equity plan, and how do you become in line for some of that digital equity capacity funds. Anyway, so that, I think it's all a process as we go down this timeline. But that's a great great effort to pull this annual report together. And Riley, do you have any? I know we got Jolie on the line and Nate on the line. I don't know if anybody from the county, City and County of Honolulu is on. But what would you suggest they take a look at? I mean, is something that they should consider tackling?
It's the process of developing the report that is of value, and also taking a look at who makes up HIDEC. That is there, but behind that we also layer with the community locations, the nonprofits, where are they focused on, what communities are they in, and so I don't know, it's good self-check to, you can compare it against this and see, where are you looking at all of these things? Are you working, with affordability at all? Is that there in your plan or in your, what you work on? Because a lot of times, access is BEAD, that's up and, front and center is access with BEAD. DE is more of the equity and all of that, but there's an ongoing concern about affordability. Even if you have a laptop, and I heard this from the workforce development world, was that Windows 11 is coming, and that will be the commercial workforce base of software. So are your devices capable of running Windows 11?
Right.
Because that's where we're heading. So those types of things all fall into affordability. And are we considering that? So I think that's just one look at, does your plan include that type of long-term, ongoing concern type of equity?
Yeah, and it's all sort of woven into the programs that we're working on, whether it's our ACP program, but also the BEAD program has a piece of affordability. Any ISP that's receiving funding from the federal government have to have an affordability option. And so I think from a Broadband Hui community standpoint, we also need to stay closely tuned to that and what happens with that. And that's part of, I think, volume 2. Anyway, thanks, Riley.
Okay.
Mahalo for that update. In the last couple minutes, Brad, is there any update that you wanted to provide from your subgroup that you guys are forming? Brad, you there? Maybe
sorry, had to unmute. Sorry. So we had our first meeting on Monday. It went well. We had a good base. Hopefully, we had a few more people sign up that weren't able to make it, so hopefully they can make it to the next one. We're gonna finalize a set meeting date right now. We're leaving it at Mondays at 10. So we had some good discussions. We have some project ideas. Anything from mobile tech hub sort of idea to a culture / tech hub in Hilo right now, and some of those ideas were being floated around. We also discussed the BEAD challenge and the location. So We're gonna try and work with some people to see if there's some way to develop we can develop a easier way to identify the undotted locations, as Riley put it. So we're trying to set up a meeting for that for next week. But it went well for our first meeting. So
Oh, good. Keep that rolling, and we'll have updates on the other subgroups, as we move along the timeline. But it's 10:30. I did want to thank everybody for joining us for the 181st Broadband Hui. Lots of opportunity to jump in on various weekly Zoom calls that UH is scheduling, as well as a public comment, live event that might be coming to your neighborhood soon. So please keep in touch with all of us, and we're all moving forward together in the VA. So mahalo everybody, and I guess I'll close it out, Riley. Until next week, you all stay safe, you all stay awesome, and take care. Aloha. Hey Riley, I gotta jump. I gotta make another phone call right now.
Okay.
Okay. Oh wait! Don't end it yet. I'm gonna save the chat. Okay.
Okay, save
Okay,
the-
mahalo.
I'm gonna turn off the recording. And Sarah Lynn, are you there? Oh, she hung up. Okay, bye.
Yeah.